I am José Manuel García-Lomas Allen-Perkins, President and first Consultant of García-Lomas Allen-Perkins, the ADO Corporation. Today we return to something so vital in the business world such as communication. And now that we are talking about communication, let's start by recounting an important journey that was going to unite two continents, in old Europe, the city of London, and in the new world, the city of New York. We are at the beginning of the last century, and since at that time aviation was not yet developed as it is today, the trip we are describing was going to take place in an impressive ship. It was the inaugural voyage of an impressive ship, the pride of the technology and intelligence of the time, to the point that the ship's manufacturers had inscribed a motto on the ship's hull, which said, "Against you nor God." The ship, with its 4 huge chimneys, began its first voyage between the cities of London and New York on its maiden voyage. On board the ship traveled the jet society of the time, that we would say today, that is to say, the cream of the European and North American aristocracy. There were also many newly married couples who took advantage of the inaugural voyage of this great ship to spend their honeymoon. You would have guessed that the ship was called Titanic and began its maiden voyage between the cities of London and New York. Continuously arrived telegraph messages to the Titanic with congratulations and communications from important people of the two continents, to the point that the radio operator was overwhelmed and the messages were piled up, thinking that later, perhaps at night, would have time to read them, classified, and deliver them in the different cabins to their addresses. A boat in the vicinity called Caledonian had managed to get out of a dangerous area in the North Atlantic, because being winter had to deal with a number of very dangerous icebergs, and they moved by sea currents and winds. And also in that area from which the Caledonian had just come out, there were fogs, low mist, that made it difficult to get out, but thanks to its smaller draft was able to avoid the dangerous icebergs. The Caledonian, upon learning that the Titanic with its enormous mass and great draft was approaching that dangerous area, infected with icebergs, sent a telegram to the Titanic, warning of the danger and suggesting that divert the route. What does the Titanic do? Nothing. Well, the telegram that arrives passes to the amount of pending telegrams to be read and classified by the Titanic radio operator, who also makes a false assumption because he thinks that it will be one more congratulation for some of the couples of boyfriends who are on board the Titanic. Total is not so urgent. The Titanic continues to advance in the North Atlantic, passing by an enormous iceberg that is presented in the mist, and which produces a major rupture below the waterline, and the water begins to penetrate the Titanic. On the first class deck, the orchestra did not stop playing, and the elegant couples continued dancing without realizing the important impact they had had with the iceberg. But the captain, who was a professional, detects the impact and immediately sent one of his officers to report possible damages. The officer returned with a face white, pale like lime, terrified. My captain, it's incredible, but we are doomed to sink," he tells his captain. The captain and few people on board knew that, as in often cases for political reasons, the Titanic had gone on its first inaugural voyage without being finished. But there were unavoidable commitments to fulfill, and by superior order the Titanic left to its inaugural trip with a great panel that made the great compartments of the Titanic watertight without having finished. This meant that if what happened, the water entering one of the compartments could jam through communicating vessels one after the other until it produced the sinking of that enormous mass that was the Titanic. The captain, aware of all this, sends another of his officers so that a distress signal can be sent immediately, because we are sailing in a commercial area of the North Atlantic, and ships in the vicinity will receive it and will come to help us. The distress signal is sent, but the Titanic was so modern that instead of sending the well-known SOS, sent a new signal that was beginning to be used in international nautical, and that was Mayday, Mayday. The Caledonian, among other ships in the vicinity, received the signal Mayday, Mayday, but is unable to interpret it because they were not up to date with that new international distress signal. Therefore, the captain of the Caledonian continues his journey without answering the call, and thinks that if the telegram of the Titanic were important, they would send it again with greater clarity. The Titanic begins to sink and panic breaks out. The captain sends another officer to launch the 8 shining rockets, as it is getting dark in the North Atlantic, and they will be easily seen by ships in the vicinity, who will surely come to our aid. The officer, all nervous when his 6 rockets of different colors goes and turns them on, and he picks them up without realizing that it is only the white rockets that indicate the need of help. And sun luminaries of all colors come out that illuminate the North Atlantic sky. In the Caledonian, they contemplate in the distance that great colorful of rockets that seems that they are launching from the Titanic. But the captain of the Caledonian makes a false assumption, thinks that what a party they are giving in the Titanic, that even fireworks are lighting, therefore it follows its course, the Caledonian, without realizing the anguished situation of the Titanic. In the Titanic, the confusion is total. The furniture moves, overwhelming people by the inclination of the ship. As it sinks, men disguise themselves as women, assaulting the lifeboats to the cry of "women and children first." Incidentally, there were not enough lifeboats for the entire passage. At that time, it was not mandatory. After the Titanic disaster, if it was legislated as mandatory for ships to have enough boats to evacuate the entire passage. In short, the Titanic sank, and in its sinking took more than 1,500 people. And today, with the perspective that gives us the history, we can say that the Titanic sank, and so many people died because repeatedly, insistently, the communication failed. Therefore, when we talk about communication, we are not talking about something banal, trivial, but something truly transcendental, also in our business world. The question is, what is communication? The transmission of a message and obtaining a discriminated answer. That is to say, the transmission of ideas to other people who understand the transmitted ideas and who act accordingly. The problem is much bigger than it appears. Think of the simple messages we give to our young children, and what happens is that on many occasions they misunderstand us. There are 4 elements in communication. 1, the idea to transmit. 2, the transmission. 3, the exact capture. 4, the right reaction. What are the objectives of the communication are also 4. 1, be understood. 2, be accepted. 3, produce action. And 4, understand others, since communication must be two-way. As for the media, the most common is our voice, also our writing and image. In short, we have 5 communication channels that coincide with the 5 senses: see, hear, smell, like, and touch. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And how we would describe the communication technique? A simple model is as follows. In all communication, there is always a transmitter and a receiver, and in between a channel that many times is the word, the image, or any of the different senses we have. Everything begins in the transmitter with the intention of communicating something, and that intention codifies it and builds a message, and that message is placed in a channel. For example, the word, and when placing the message in the channel, will produce what we call disturbances and interferences that alter the message. The message reaches the receiver, already affected by the disturbances and interferences, and hopefully the desired reaction will take place in the receiver, which would mean to have been successful in our communication. To disturb is equal to prevent the order of a speech of which he speaks. Disturbances, discomfort, interruption, disorder, fatigue is a physiological disturbance. Interference equal to be introduced in the reception of a signal, something foreign to the transmitter and receiver. Examples of external noises: environmental noises that make communication difficult. Now I suggest an interesting questionnaire on the information transmission. And as with other questionnaires that we have developed in previous videos, we are going to present 10 statements that can be answered in a correct column if what it says there seems correct to me, or in an incorrect column if what is said seems incorrect to me. After each point, I will leave a short space of time for each of you to mentally answer whether what we say is correct or incorrect, and then I will the right answer. 1. Improvisation sounds better than deep preparation. What do you think? Incorrect. Improvisation is the dynamic of oratory, but nothing replaces deep preparation. Therefore, the more preparation and the less improvisation, the better. 2. A short and fast way in our communication is what is really important. What do you say? Incorrect. to be understood, to be accepted, to produce action, and to understand others is what is really important, because they are the objectives of communication. If you are also short and fast, better than better. 3. In any informative meeting, it is necessary to avoid interruptions on the part of the participants before its end. And what do you say? Incorrect. On the contrary, since it is an informative meeting, the objective is that the information arrives, and therefore I will encourage the participants to interrupt me when something is not sufficiently clear, and we are clarifying things as we go along and progressively. Prayers and questions at the end are not the best. 4. It is better to speak without aid, no notes, even if the presentation is less good. What do you say? Incorrect. It is convenient to have the necessary support to guarantee me to communicate what I want to communicate in the most effective way. Therefore, I will have the support, and then I will use them, or I will not use them according to my convenience. 5. The collaborator remember what has been communicated to them constitutes the main objective of their director. And what do you say? Incorrect. What is really important is that they do it. If they only remember it and do not do it badly, the company is a world of action. 6. Audiovisual aids easily take on an artificial character and are not suitable, especially if we speak to a small group. And what do you say? Incorrect. An audiovisual aid can be a pencil and a paper, and I put the audio, and the group can be as small as one person in front of it. 7. For better understanding, attendees will receive in writing at the beginning of the meeting the content of the information to be transmitted. What we say? Incorrect. We talk about the content, and with it we kill the motivation so that they attend us correctly. In any case, at the end, and without saying it in advance, we can deliver the content of the information. 8. Some tension at the beginning of your speech helps to improve your presentation. Correct. The word tension can be wrong, but what we mean is that we have to be very awake, to be fit, and with the 5 senses on alert, both at the beginning and in the development of the whole presentation. If I am too relaxed, I will make mistakes. 9. When giving information, it is necessary to take into account those who listen to us. And what we say? Correct. It is always necessary to adapt to the audience, to the client. And 10. The time of its preparation must correspond to that of the presentation. What we say? Incorrect. The relation between preparation and presentation is from 10 to 1, depending on the experience of the speaker. Nothing replaces a deep preparation, I insist. Interesting questionnaire, isn't it? We have hit many points yourselves. In the next video, we will continue to delve into this interesting subject of communication between human beings. remembering something essential is that communication is full of traps. And never take for granted that we are being correctly interpreted. For this, we can use our questioning technique, which we will also delve into in future videos. If you are interested in our videos, I suggest that you give a like and subscribe to our channel for the videos that are to come.